There are two suns that shine down on us. As one sun sinks down below the horizon, the second simultaneously lights our sky. And so we never know not.
Never know not.
So I want to get right back into it. Today we're going to talk again about Monkey King inspired stories that features the archetype of the monkey, the dragon, the cat, and they also feature this concept of two suns in the sky. We're going to talk about the Alien series and also the Predator series, some specific films in these stories, but also outline that throughout the series they are also influenced by this kind of concept of this archetype from the monkey, the dragon, and the cat, which points back to the Monkey King inspiration or story. So let's go. King and two suns in the sky. Let's go. So in the movie Alien 3, which is a Monkey King influenced story, there is a binary star system. So two suns in the sky appear on this planet that's featured in the Alien 3 series. Now, I've outlined before that the monkey, dragon, and cat, specifically Monkey King influenced stories, if there's something to do with space or something supernatural, may feature two suns in the sky. And this is accounted for even in the original Alien film. The planet that the alien origins from is ELF V426, which happens to be in a binary star system in the Zeta Reticuli binary star system. And I'm not sure, it could be two moons or two or three moons that the planet that the alien originates from has. But nonetheless, in dragon stories, sometimes you might see two moons. In monkey stories, you might see two suns. I don't think they show the two suns in the first one, but it's just noted that it's from a binary star system. And the importance of that is it aligns with what I've been demonstrating. The monkey, the dragon, and the cat are at heart of stories that feature this kind of binary star system. There's a video game called Colony Wars that takes place in space, and it's a binary star system in that game. It's called the Draco, like the dragon system, just to kind of reinforce this concept or idea.
The two suns of the Draco system were playing havoc with League fleet metabolisms. Light to dark, then to light again. Our body clocks were beating double time. I heard that pilots flying by Helios were sending messages of friendship to all their comrades before battle. Those in the Hecate zone were backbiting and recriminating before they'd even hit launch. Maybe the rumors were true. Maybe those suns were more than just gas and vapor. Whatever, the tension was real, pulling in two directions. No one knew where we were heading.
So that was a little clip from the game Colony Wars that explains the Draco system with the two suns in the sky. And if I'm interpreting it right, it sounds like the game outlines that there's an increase in consciousness, in mood and feeling, and abilities, and even like at some level your body's chemical makeup in regards to two suns appearing or two suns in the sky. There's also Spyro the Dragon, another PlayStation game about the dragon, and that game has a binary star system in it as well. And then also the old TV show Dinosaurs, which are dinosaurs, the dragons that come from space, but they're intelligent. So it's like the monkey play with the mind, just in the dragon story. And their homeworld, I think, either has two suns or two moons. But let's get into the movie Alien 3 and show how it's like a Monkey King influenced story. And then we'll add on to the series, go into a couple films. So what makes me say this movie is a story that's influenced by the Monkey King? So number one, everyone's bald in the movie, right? Highlighting the concept of monks, right? This is why you got Bruce Willis always playing in monkey films. The monk. And it's an inversion of this kind of story where these people are spiritually corrupt. They're all criminals. They all did horrible crimes, but they're now all so-called religious. It's like the inversion of that concept. And on top of that, it's a prison planet. The movie, when it first starts off, it shows the sun eclipsing the moon, or the moon eclipsing the sun, and then it forms a corona. This is the opening shot that the movie has. It starts off with that planet going through an eclipse, or that solar system going through an eclipse, and you see the corona highlighting, pointing back to what we just experienced in 2020, and then it also happens to be a prison planet. They even reinforced this kind of corona concept in the film where they describe infection in the lungs in a couple scenes regarding especially the young one. But anyway, it starts off with a visitor from space, and the trailer reinforces this where it describes a visitor's coming from space, and it's bringing something with it. And this is what we see in almost all other Monkey King stories. Once the one comes from the sky, the bad ones come. In fact, the concept of the one arriving is also always associated with the negative arriving as well. Or once the negative comes to light, then the chosen one, we're hoping chosen one pops up. These two are synonymous. You can't separate them, as you see. But yeah, this is going on in the story. The chosen one appears from the sky and is bringing the bad with it. Like a portion of the ship launches her out or saves her, jettisons her to this planet. We see the cradle kind of thing always associated with Monkey King characters. Christ in the cradle, Simba and the Lion King, which is an inversion, a cat story of the Monkey King kind of story. Simba in the cradle. Almost all Monkey King archetypes will be born from some type of rock, cradle, an igloo, as we see on Star Wars. Well, in this case, in the space story, when there's humans, they awaken from cryo. And that's because the Monkey King carries the pole star, or Polaris, the North Star, which is really a polar story retold into a solar story. So the cryo, waking from the ice, is something that you always will see. The Avatar story does it as well, the James Cameron. And that planet, I believe, has 2 moons because that's an inversion. Monkey-like behaviors in dragon-blooded people. Now, this planet with the 2 suns on there, this Fiora or Fiorina 161, in the original concept for this story, it was supposed to be a wooden planet, a planet completely made out of wood, and at the center of it is some current technology that can keep it afloat. But on this planet, it was supposed to be a bunch of religious monks. There was no like criminal aspect to it. It was more religious, and Ripley's arrival threatened the breaking that virtue of the men there, where she was temptation. And we kind of see them playing this in a little bit in this film. But her arrival and then eventual sleeping with one of the members there, as what happened in the movie, is kind of what led to the dragon being born. So it's kind of a play on your virtue or your morality at the heart of the concept of this story, and which aligns with a lot of the different Monkey King kind of themes, stories about virtue, stories about our pathway to spirituality, essentially. But anyway, as a result of Ripley's arrival and the temptation and the falling for temptation, the dragon was there to punish the religious monks who broke that temptation. Right, so it's a unique spin and inversion of the chosen one arriving kind of a thing in the original concept. But I just thought it was interesting because it highlights that, and we should understand that monks are another way of saying monkeys. The Shaolin monks, Liu Kang, the dragon, the monk, and the dragon combined, kind of idea with that. There's this connection between this Fury and Fury 161. I mentioned before that Sigourney Weaver's character archetype in this story is the Monkey King, the bald, androgynous, questionable female, just like a Furiosa, right? Not uncommon, very similar idea. In this movie, the alien is brought to us to this world by the Monkey King archetype, but also enters through the Sirius Dog Star archetype. We see that the dog in this movie is what allows the alien, or what becomes the host for the alien, I should say. We see a very similar archetype in Nebula and Rocket Raccoon. In the Avengers Endgame, both are the catalyst for the Endgame to occur. We see a very similar archetype in Furiosa with her and Mad Max, the dog. So you see the Sirius Dog Star archetype is always paired up, or a common pair up with the Monkey King female in these stories. Kamala Khan with her Sirius the Dog Star is an archetype as well. It kind of aligns with this. And it doesn't have to be a female Monkey King, it can be a male. The dog paired with the Monkey King archetype is kind of a catalyst into a new world. Sonic and Tails, Marty McFly and his dog. You often see the dog, Dorothy and her dog, the dog paired with the Sirius Dog Star, or the Monkey King kind of archetype being encoding the paradigm shift or into a new world, so to say. But yeah, remember Furiosa, Fury 161, or Furiona 161. Then we have the Furion in the Riddick series, same kind of idea. The character who's paired with Sirius the Dog Star. And that story, The Chronicles of Riddick, the first movie starts off on a planet that is going through a very similar thing. A corona is occurring, an eclipse is occurring. And after the eclipse, dragon creatures pop up. So you have the Monkey King archetype versus the dragon. They also do a play on gender in this film, where the female Jack is actually a female, an androgynous, questionable Monkey King archetype. And she was supposed to have the torch passed to her, but they end up going on with the decision to kill her later on in the series. But she is Kara. She becomes Kara in the later series. And you often see this Kara play in a lot of stories where the female is getting passed the torch. The Aang, the avatar to the legend of Kara or Korra. Superman's sister is Kara. The Lion King, the recent rendition where the torch was passed to the female, I think her name is Kiara. Kiara is a play on the core. And often these female binaries or torch passed female will be named in some form or fashion, a play on that. And I think it just points back to the core, the core of man, the rib. So Adam is the sun, the person, and then the female sun is the core. So we have a sun in the sky, and then also a core, the sun and the core of the earth. And I'll build on this in another video, but often you will see the female playing on this. And the reason why I mentioned, Furiosa and then the Furion and Riddick, the first movie is a binary star system, two suns in the sky. And often whenever you have these stories where there's two suns or the second sun appears, there will be a female captain. Ripley is a captain. In Riddick lands on that planet because of the female captain who looks just like Brie Larson's character, or I think her name is Brie Larson. Brie, the character who plays Mrs. Marvel or Captain Marvel, the one that everyone doesn't like, she looks just like that actress. And Captain Marvel is another kind of series that plays on this, where Captain Marvel is paired with Kamala Khan, the Monkey King, and they have the cat that's a Flurkin. The cat, the monkey, and the dragon, I told you, are at the heart of these stories. And that cat has a dragon that comes out of his mouth, or a dragon that's hidden within. And at the end of the Marvels movies, a character appears named Binary, who's an androgynous, questionable female, but she embodies or is the personification of two suns, Binary. You even see it on her shirt. But I mentioned all these characters because, they all have this play on the second sun and in some kind of encoded way. And we'll get into Riddick in another video separate, because I really want to explore that series specifically in regards to two suns in the sky. So let's talk about the dragon. I've mentioned before in previous videos that the different alien and predator monsters that they feature in the different films are based off of the zodiac calendar. So you'll get different references to what they are. Sometimes they're referred to as a virus, as a parasite, as an infestation. Part 2, you can look at it like they're a cockroach infestation, so to say. We often get the play on aliens with ants. And the Monkey King has some ties to ants as well. We'll get into in a separate video. But we also are told that they're serpents. In this film, this alien's called the Runner alien, and it comes from a dog. Sirius the Dog Star, or the dog named Spike in this film, is what becomes the host for the alien to lay. The face hugger lays an egg inside or embryo inside, and then the alien hatches from the dog's chest. Now, what's interesting, a lot of people may not know, on the DVD, there was an ox, a bull, I forget, or a cow that was the animal of choice to host the alien. That was the host for the alien. So the dog was something that was added on last minute. And whenever you see these kind of changes, you should consider what's going on during the time of release. Are there other products reflecting the zodiac of that animal? And I haven't had time to look into it, but it was swapped last minute. But nonetheless, a bull or ox or a cow can also be associated with the zodiac as well. And I know that they do this for a fact, that they do this kind of swapping of the different animals or the different species of predators and aliens in the different films based off of the overall mythological story that's being told, or the overall sky story that's being told. And the predator, we have different type of predators. One is called the wolf. There's a monkey alien, a monkey predator. And for the naysayers or people who don't really watch it all that much, they may not notice the subtle differences in these different designs, but all of the different predators and aliens are encoding a different zodiac animal or a different animal based off of a constellation in a different story that they're telling. I remember years ago, I went to a Walmart and I saw a red alien. I was like, this was never in the movies. What's going on? And looking at all the other products and merchandise that was coming out during that time, it was in association with the red dragon. So that's just to give you an example of how they do these kind of things.
And I mentioned this monkey and dragon archetype, which is at the heart of this Alien 3 story. Sigourney Weaver, the monkey, the alien, and the dragon. But the monkey and the dragon are both symbols of a reset. Doesn't always mean one or the other are good or bad. Sometimes the monkey and the dragon will work together, like a Sasuke and Naruto, like a King Kong and Godzilla. Sometimes they're rivals, but look at them more so as a symbol of a reset.
So I mentioned before that in another video that the second son in stories is sometimes tied to an increase in consciousness where characters may become more spiritual. And we see that these criminals, these characters who all did crimes on Earth, some of the crimes are horrendous. They are transferred to this planet and they're all attempting to make a better way for themselves or to do a better spiritual path. And the second son is also symbolic of that or associated with that, with like a rise in consciousness or morality. So it's just very interesting that that's going on. We see a lot of these characters are trying to turn a new leaf. I love the depiction that they give of the two suns on this planet, just the different imaging related to it. I love it. And they always, whenever you see these two suns in stories, usually they will have different colors, highlighting a different energy or different focus. I like to think that one of the suns has a masculine energy and the other one have a feminine energy, as I often see the Monkey King kind of character being associated with both male and female. And a play on this binary aspect of what's going on in our world seems related to it. But what I wanted to point out is the concept of the gray aliens, the myth that we get in our real world of this gray alien fascination that a lot of people have. The History Channel seems to be fascinated on it, right? But what I wanted to point out is that these aliens, the archetype of this story, is believed to come from the Zeta Reticuli star system as well, right? So the gray aliens are associated with the binary star system. And the importance of this is the gray aliens are kind of both, they're play on both the dragon and the monkey, or the reptilian and the monkey kind of combined in a character. And you see that they have like the dragon blood or skin from the neck down below, you can kind of associate it with reptilian-like. And then from the top above, they have the big heads where they're associated with the monkey in the mind. And they're often depicted as, coming or invading the minds of the people that they abduct. They're also associated with sexuality, the probing, the poking, the kidnapping and taking in the middle of the night, the forceful removal, right? So it's just interesting because every time we see the depictions of UFOs, as I mentioned before, it's associated with the eye. There's eye symbolism in the UFOs. ID4 or I4D is how I interpret the ID4 imaging that you see in the Independence Day movies. But I've done this before where I showed the symbolism of eyes and UFOs or that kind of association. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because whenever we're shown the gray aliens, they are often shown with these big eyes, like they have a hard time seeing. And in fact, you always get this scientific explanation that if humans lived in Mars or lived on another planet, their eyes would change, or it would evolve to bigger eyes to handle the different perception that the sun gives, depending on how close or far you are from it. Like the farther away from the sun, you'll probably need bigger eyes to see in the night. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is at the heart of all Monkey King stories. There's this kind of idea of enlightenment where you'll often see that the Monkey King character or archetype will start off with goggles, or someone in the series will have goggles. We see people with goggles in this Alien 3 movie, right before they're about to grape Ripley, one of the guys, he has goggles on and then he takes them off. In other stories we see taking off the goggles means like you've surpassed the lower vision. Now you have higher vision or higher ability to see. So you'll often see like Naruto having it, and Sonic, there's somebody with goggles. Often there will be character with goggles, reinforcing and highlighting that at a lower level of spirituality, you're not able to see. But at higher levels of spirituality, you're able to see without the goggles. You can't handle the sun. It's too much for you. You're not enlightened enough yet to see without the sun. The movie The Book of Eli does a good job on this, where everybody's kind of wearing these goggles. And the character who is the main character has this ability to kind of see. He's able to see a little ahead of time, so he's able to anticipate fight moves. But then it turns out that he was reading a Bible that didn't even have words on it. It's because he has enlightenment. He has a higher level of seeing. And how does this point to this alien story? Well, Ripley's not really using goggles in this story, but I've mentioned before that the monkey's associated with the mind, the dragon's associated with strength and infrastructure, and then also our carnal thoughts, right, our carnal side. And then the cat is associated with an aura or ability to be able to see. And, again, we don't see this with Ripley in this film, but it's just important that these animals, the cat, the dragon, and the monkey, are also associated with seeing, with the ability to see. Whether it be see a little bit more, with like your third eye, essentially, or decreased vision, as we see with the dragons. But you see Ripley, they're often showing her with this red eye, and this red eye concept is associated in a lot of different stories, Monkey King-esque kind of stories, where they're have some kind of ocular abilities associated with the red eye as well. And I've outlined before that the dragons are often shown with having poor vision, poor ability to see. So, dragons being of the carnal mind, the less spiritual, right? They have poor vision, where the T-Rex can't really see that well. You see the xenomorph design, they don't really have eyes. Their eyes are blocked. This is not a coincidence. This is intention and by design. The same thing with the predators. They are shown to have poor vision. They have to use technology to see better because they can't really see that well on their own. That's a part of their deficits, right? Because they're carnal, their deficit is they can't really see. And the monkey is kind of a play on both the predator is kind of a play on both the dragon and the monkey, with different stories depending on the predator story. When they're versus the aliens, they're more of the monkey, and you see them often where they're holding the staff. So we'll do the predator in a later series because there's a lot to cover there. So in these kind of stories, I always look for the ability for the character to see. I was blind, but now I kind of can see kind of thing going on. In the Matrix, you see this where once he becomes the one, he can start to see the code. I mentioned that the characters will often start off with goggles or shades, and then as the series progresses, they can take the shades off. They no longer need them. And then the dragon characters might even have ocular abilities where they can see really well, but there's a weakness or a weak spot where overuse of it can cause them to strain or lose their sight. Also, the T-Rex can see well, but then also has a hard time distinguishing moving things from not moving things. So you often see this kind of play on the ability to see, and it's not just in regards to the physical, but it's also in regards to the spiritual. And I've outlined before that the cat, the dragon, and the monkey are all associated with our neurological system. The monkey associated with the mind. The characters the only animal that's supposedly evolved to humans or to a higher level. So there's a mind association with the monkey. To further demonstrate this Monkey King archetype, please pay further attention to Ripley's look in this movie. I'm going to go through a bunch of other characters that parallel this look. But what you should know is that the Monkey King is often a character who passes the torch from male to female and vice versa. So one character in one period will be male, the next one will likely be female. Every Monkey King archetype usually has a female parallel. Superman has Kara, his cousin. Captain America has the female Captain America. Iron Man has the female Iron Man. Thor, same thing. Anyone that comes from this kind of Monkey King archetype will usually have a parallel female version of themselves, a binary, so to say. Well, if you look at her look, she parallels the Furiosa character, and the Furiosa character having the one arm or the gauntlet in her arm. We see that as a common theme in these stories. Like Thundercats will have the same kind of gauntlet as Thanos. Thanos having the same kind of gauntlet as King Kong in the recent King Kong film. the gauntlet or the Armageddon is essentially highlighted in the carrying of that gauntlet. But we see Furiosa have that arm. She parallels to the Nebula character in the Guardians or Marvel films. And Nebula is the character who originally did the snap. She's the female Monkey King that beat Thanos, right? So the torch passed from male to female. We even see alignment with the Metroid character, Samus, the Monkey King archetype as well. I think they recently announced the Metroid game, and she has telekinetic powers, and people are surprised. But understanding that she's the Monkey King archetype, the monkey is associated with the mind abilities like Jean Grey, the Monkey King archetype, who can read minds and also use telekinesis. And then the TX character from the movie. These characters kind of all look alike, and there's almost the same spirit being embodied in these characters. And the same thing with the character from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Even Species aligns with this, as we'll get into it. But I wanted to highlight these characters because they all parallel this Ripley character. Remember all these kind of character archetypes that we went over because they all are also a play on the mother, which is at the heart of all these reset stories. All these Monkey King stories have this kind of aspect or association with birth, the mother, the resetting from the Matrix, the Terminatrix, Mother M and Metroid, for example. Now Ripley, the Alien series is a play on motherhood, an inversion and perversion of that. But let's get back a little bit into this planet, Fury 161. If you look at the planet, it's described as being cold and windy, despite it being two suns in the sky, which should, account for more heat. We're getting the cold and windy. And a couple of things that stand out to me on this planet is the structures. If you look at the docks where they do all the container transport, one in particular reminds me of the genie's lamp. And the genie lamp, as I pointed out in the previous story, in regards to Aladdin, also has the play on the Monkey King aspect, and then also two suns in the sky. But more importantly, the binary pair, Jasmine and Aladdin, are binaries, are inverses of each other. And though we don't get a male version of Ripley in this film, we don't even get a female version of Ripley in this film. She's more so a binary kind of in this story. So I just thought that was important to highlight. When you see this depiction of two suns, you see this cross-like structure in front of it. And I've outlined in previous videos that usually whenever we're seeing the symbolism of two suns, there will be a structure in front of it. Most common or often is a pole, highlighting the pole star Polaris. I think the two suns are involved with that somehow, where one may be masculine or feminine, or also these stars, the two suns usually appear after good battles evil, almost like Libra scales, almost like two inversions of the pole. And when the pole is in alignment, one sun or one star is directly behind the other, making it difficult to see. But when it's kind of being inverted or twisted, it becomes apparent or to light. A pole eclipse essentially is kind of a play on that language as well. Apocalypse, a pole eclipse. But the X is a symbol for the North Star, and you often will see the X being associated with it. This is why all of the X-Men characters usually have this kind of power in regards or related to the North Star. Just think about all the things that are going on in our world today. All of Elon Musk's companies kind of are play on it, converting the power from the sun to electricity. That's what Cyclops' beams do. Optic beam does. The reading of minds with Neuralink, the manipulation of weather, storm. All of the X-Men's powers are a play on this kind of age that we're going into, the age of X. And all the companies that are in our world are in alignment with this, where they have from Comcast to Xfinity, from Twitter to X. Twitter is the bluebirds migrating north using the magnetic poles. So all these kind of companies are in the play or in alignment with this age of Polaris, this age of X. And I just think that's interesting that we kind of see that emphasized or symbolized in this kind of depiction that we see in this picture here. So the X right in front of the two suns in the sky.